Hello and welcome to our special broadcast. I'm Timsi Jaipuria. With less than a month to go for the union budget, corporate India and tax experts have laid out its wish list. The industry has called for simplification, more relief for the middle class, and reduction in criminal provisions. Remember, last year's budget focused on relaxing tax slabs under the new tax regime. The finance minister also announced tax exemptions for those earning up to 12 lakh rupees per annum. So what can the industry expect this year? We are now joined by Charanjot Singh Nanda, president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants, Amit Maheshwari, tax partner, AKM Global. Also with us, Akhilesh Ranjan, former member at Central Board of Direct Taxes. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this program. Let me come straight to Mr. Nanda first. As President ICAI, I'm sure you must have submitted your suggestions to the government as to what can be done in this upcoming budget. What tops your wish list when it comes to especially the middle class, the corporates, because that has been the focus of the government?
Madam, it is customary for the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India to present a pre-budget memorandum to the Finance Minister, taking into consideration certain issues. So two issues which have been making a great mark. First is joint taxation system of married couples. We have asked for that aligning both the exemption schemes. You are aware that there is a tendency to transfer the income or asset to a non-earning spouse. So we want a straightforward system whereby we have said that the standard deduction can be doubled from 75,000 to 1,50,000. The exemption limit basic of 4 lakh can be 8 lakhs. And then the slabs can also be accordingly taken care of. More so, we have requested them that the surcharge, which is above 50 lakhs, can be increased above 1.5 lakh. It is not double because earlier the proposal was that it will be increased from 50 lakh to 75 lakhs. So taking that into account, we have proposed that if we could ultimately ask for the surcharge above 1.5 crore rupees. So this will equate the entire system. You are aware that a lady who is in home, who's a home lady, she also works and the income of the husband is used for the homely purposes. So parity and equality, it would be better if the joint taxation system of married couples be made. The non-earning...
What about corporates?
Madam, about corporates is separate. We have made a suggestion. We have made a suggestion for tax-neutral business reorganization in LLPs. We are asking that LLPs be made, but the tax rate of companies is 30%, while it is for corporates it is 22%. So we are calling for a special tax regime in companies under section 115BAA. The tax rate is 22%. So we propose for companies, for LLPs also, it should be 22%. Secondly, a very important thing, with respect to amalgamation, when transfer of capital asset is made in corporates, there is no capital gain tax while it exists in LLPs. So if we want LLPs to come and have the ease of doing business, we have to very, very clearly indicate that there shall be no capital gain tax if a capital asset is transferred.
Coming to Mr. Ranjan now, how do you see these suggestions? Do you think there is enough merit in these suggestions, the two suggestions that Mr. Nanda has said, that which tops the list when it comes to the personal income tax and especially for the middle class, and secondly for the corporates? Do you think government can consider them? Does the government really have the room to actually accommodate, plus the surcharge, what he has been suggesting, that it should be hiked, the limit of levying a surcharge should be beyond 50 lakhs, it should be 1.5 crores. Do you think government has that much of room to accommodate all these suggestions?
Yes, thank you, Timsi, and thank you for having me here. There are countries which do follow the family system, where a married couple can return their income together. And I'm not so sure whether the government here will think about that. Firstly, what do we hope to achieve? Mr. Nanda has mentioning maybe double the exemption limits, have more relief for the family. Well, I think the government has done quite a bit on the personal income tax rates. Last year that you just mentioned, and there was a whole lot of relief. The 30% slab kicking in only at 24 lakhs, which is a huge thing. 12 lakhs being the minimum threshold. I don't think that the government really thinks that the personal income tax is heavy for the individual. So that's one reason why I don't think that they will want to consider any such change. Of course, we must remember that it should not make a change just for the sake of making a change. The idea is to what is to be rectified, and that's the thing to be thought about. So
So what is to be rectified according to you?
Well, actually, it's nothing. When I say rectified, I mean what next. Now, we have already done a lot in personal income tax and in corporate tax. A lot of changes have been made. What India now needs is essentially three things, according to me. One, stability and predictability of the tax system. There should not be frequent annual changes. We have seen changes in the personal income tax structure for each of the last 3 years. People are now so confused as to know which rate really applies. I think it is very important to have a stable tax system, first of all. Secondly, we need to have simplification. Now, simplification doesn't mean rewriting the Income Tax Act in simple language. That's only making it easier to read. Simplification means simplifying the tax structure. So, for example, why do we have things like a new regime and an old regime for personal income tax? Why don't we have just one regime and have calibrated and selected exemptions and incentives out there? Thirdly, we need to build trust between the government and the taxpayers. That's the most important step that the government has to see now. And that can be brought about by things like decriminalizing the tax defaults, by introducing measures of accountability, by making people aware that, look, the government is actually appreciating your tax contribution. So those are the three main areas, according to me, which need to be addressed. There's of course things like disputes and tax certainty, which is a part of trust.
I'll come to the dispute part a bit later. Coming to Amit Maheshwari, how do you see these suggestions, and especially when it comes to the corporate side, because you handle a lot of corporate clients also, and what's on your wish list? Do you think can the government consider some more cuts?
Yeah, so good evening, Timsi. Good evening to the channel viewers. So I just wanted to highlight a few points which probably are very practical, and I would tend to agree with Mr. Nanda. The Institute has made some very valid suggestions. So this joint married couple taxation, which is treated as one wholesome unit, I think it has a lot of merit. There are a couple of advantages. So one biggest thing is that in terms of succession planning, most of your wealth advisors tend to tell you that please have assets in joint names, and that is something which I think everyone should follow. And typically, we have seen clubbing of income provisions getting triggered. We see it in a lot of property transactions, though that is outside the clubbing provisions, but we see that the properties are in joint names. But even for financial instruments, that is required. So that is one biggest advantage, which makes inheritance and succession plannings a lot simpler. The other thing is that you have cases where one individual, even though they might be earning, they might have losses, and the other, the husband might have profits, and the wife might have losses. So those can be clubbed, and a lot of tax optimization and efficiency can be brought in. I think the overarching principle is that you should try to avoid unnecessary planning mechanisms or these complexities where the unit can be treated as a whole. And the same thing applies even for, there was a demand of the industry for group tax consolidation, where you have different entities which can be consolidated and a group tax return could be filed. So I think just akin to that concept, I think this concept has merit. Obviously, whether that will the government would agree to that or not, but I think it is a very valid suggestion. And yes, obviously, consequently, the slab rates, exemption limits all need to be increased. to do that. But I think it can be as an optional regime. It's not necessary that you impose it on everyone. It can be an optional regime. But I would probably agree with Mr. Nanda and the Institute of Chartered Accountants, which has it's a pretty valid suggestion. On the
Coming,
corporate side, and I think on the
yes,
individual
on the
side.
corporate side.
Yeah, okay. So on the corporate side, I think, like Mr. Ranjan said, I think that's definitely there, that the need of the hour is to build more trust, and the government has certainly done its bit, and there's few changes which have come in, which might be very progressive, and the new Income Tax Act, even though it does not have very fundamental changes, but they have tried to simplify the act. So we believe that the LLP tax neutrality is definitely, the reorganization is definitely required. Like Mr. Nanda said, there are a lot of provisions under the Income Tax Act wherein the LLPs are not treated at par with the Companies Act. So they have tried to give more and more benefits to the companies, like for example, startups, when they carry forward their losses under erstwhile Section 79, that has not been extended to LLPs. You don't have the presumptive taxation. So I mean, there are certain things which probably, apart from even the tax rate, where they need to bring parity and make LLPs more lucrative, because it is an excellent vehicle right now. Especially for foreign investors, it does not work because the profits of LLPs tend to be exempt, and they are not able to get a credit which they are able to get when it is a company dividend. So I think there is definitely merit in those suggestions as well. And yeah, I would
I'll break.
agree.
I'll stop you, Amit, over there. Time for a short break, but don't go anywhere. The discussion continues on the other side. Stay tuned, especially when it comes to the dispute resolution mechanism, which has been much awaited. And as both Charanjot Singh Nanda and Amit were saying on LLPs, we'll be back shortly. Welcome back. You're joined by in our this special broadcast, and we are back with our guests, Mr. Akhilesh Ranjan, former member CBDT, Charanjot Singh Nanda, president of ICAI, and Amit Maheshwari, who's also the tax partner at AKM Global. Coming back to the point that both the CAs were making to the government, and coming to the government, former member CBDT first. As we say, ye dil always mange more cuts, and that's what they are looking for be it for corporates or for the middle class. Mr. Ranjan, do you still think, as you said, that a lot has been done on the personal income tax side? We saw the government going the extra mile to make the new regime even more lucrative. Do you think that when it comes to the corporate side, when it comes to the points that both the CAs were making, that LLPs are not treated equally, corporates get a much better rate to file their returns, do you think there is still merit on that side? And also, on the dispute resolution, ask which has been there pending for quite some time now, that almost every industry association has been talking about, that there needs to be a more robust and a better dispute resolution mechanism that needs to be seen into the picture. We've seen in the past few dispute resolution schemes, but they did not actually excite the corporate sector to end the legacy disputes, which helps both the governments and the industry.
Right, that's right. So, well, it's true that even after carrying out a number of reforms on the corporate tax side, there are still certain areas, certain anomalies which need to be rectified or clarified. I think the things like the treatment of LLPs is one thing. Of course, an LLP is a partnership ultimately, and in the Indian law treats partnerships very differently from corporate entities. So while there is some merit in saying that we have created something called a limited liability partnership, which should have more of corporate tax features, I think there is also a need to ensure that there is a distinction between the two types of entities. Corporate entity is a juridical entity and holding property in its own right. So, but then yes, there is merit in trying to align these systems. Similarly, on things like demergers, there are some gray areas, some areas which need to be smoothed out. So there are these areas in corporate tax which need to be addressed, and I think these issues are all known to the government, let's hope it's a matter of time that they come up with clarifications. On the dispute resolution, now that's a big one.
Yes.
That's, as you said very rightly. Every industry chamber is talking about it. Every corporate is talking about it, because people are quite really fed up of the amount of litigation out here and the years it takes, the period it takes to resolve an issue. So, and the government has also been trying. There have been so many dispute resolution schemes in the recent past. I think it's high time now that the government shifted its focus from dispute resolution to dispute prevention. That's the theme that I think is catching on globally. There are already systems in place in many countries where one can resolve or come to an understanding on a tax dispute before it reaches the courts. I think India needs to think about a proper system of prevention of disputes. We have mechanisms like the Advanced Pricing Agreement (APA), which is doing extremely well. All corporates are vying to or trying
But
to get.
still, I'll pause you there, because still there's a hefty amount that is logged when it comes to both the government's due or the benefit that the industry can get in the dispute mechanism that is there at CIT appeal, at various levels, and the amount is so big that every year it just keep on accruing with interest and penalty, which no one likes, be it the government or the industry, be it the taxpayer or the taxman. So there has to be a solution to it, which, as you rightly said, that these matters are before the government and it is very well known to the government. So what is holding the government back from coming up with the actual new revised, say, earlier we saw Vivad Se Vishwas. It was a scheme which did decent, to be precise. How do you think can this be reshaped and given it as a boost, be it to the tax collections or to the taxpayers?
Now, that's a very difficult question, and I'm sure neither anyone in the government nor anyone here would be able to give a good answer as to what sort of scheme should the government come out with. We have had the Kar Vivad Samadhan scheme, we have had the dispute resolution scheme of 2016, we've had the Vivad Se Vishwas scheme. All these schemes have made a dent. They have resolved a certain number of disputes. They have brought in some revenue for the government. But you know, the problem really is that the tax law is always a law which gives rise to disputes. Unless we can control the generation of disputes, there is not much hope of trying to address it only by thinking of resolution. The resolution, of course, we can have more and more schemes, but you know, there is a limit to what sort of schemes one can have. I mean, what can one expect the government to say? But all right, we will not go against the ruling of any court. I mean, that they have already said that the monetary limits have been enhanced to a very high level now. You don't go to the Supreme Court unless there is a 5 crore tax effect out there.
Yes.
It's a huge thing.
So there are limitations, as you are saying.
So the government has done its bit and said that, okay, we will not appeal, we will not do litigation. But then the law is that the taxpayer also cannot stop from carrying out litigation. So I think we have to somehow...
Coming to Mr. Nanda on that, sir. Sir, coming to Mr. Nanda on that, as you said that the government has done its bit by not appealing in many cases. Sir, what more is on the wish list, apart from the much talked about dispute resolution, the equal treatment for LLPs, or for the middle class joint filing for the married couples? What else is on your wish list?
Madam, on the principle of equity, we would suggest that decriminalization of certain prosecution provisions be undertaken. I would give an example. For example, if TDS is not paid, that ultimately tends to be a prosecution issue. We should stop that. In case, if there is a failure to produce books and documents as per notice served on direction issued to the assessee by assessing officer, that is precisely under 268(5). So that should not be, we have to be very equitable when a prosecution has to happen. So we suggest that in these two provisions, we have suggested that to the government in pre-budget memorandum, that it should be waived. Now coming on to the removal of dual penalty for the same default and bringing down the quantum of penalty in line with the nature and extent of default is very important. I'll give an example. For example, a person is misreporting the income. It attracts a penalty of 200% of tax payable, which is correct. But apart from that, you have two more penalties. Now, if a wrong entry has been recorded in the books of account, 100% of that uh, entry has to be taxed. That will be part of the taxable tax. And other than that, if it is an international taxation transaction which has not been reported, then 2% of the transaction value has to be taxed. So it results into dual penalty for a offense which has been conducted once. So we propose that all these things need be rationalized.
Yes. Mr. Nanda, a point very well taken that decriminalization should be on the government's top list. Coming to Amit Maheshwari, give me in a very crisp and short answer, what could be your two best suggestions that government can actually act on? What could be the two best suggestions that you would like to put forward, which you think government can easily do them?
I think coming to what Mr. Ranjan was saying, it's very difficult to say what the government can do. But one thing is for sure, that prevention is the answer. And I think the more accountable you make the officers, the less disputes will arise. A lot of times taxpayers have very good success obviously in appeals and the tribunals. So I think the prevention of disputes should start at making the officers a lot more accountable. I think that's the number one thing which the government can do and they should do. Even in this right now, in this what we are seeing in the current cycle, you have been there are hundreds and thousands of show cause notices being issued with very short time periods. Orders are coming in where the assessees, taxpayers, submissions have not been taken care of. So I think the disputes start at the at the assessing officer level. So that should stop at least. If some accountability can happen, that is very important. And I think a couple of other points which was shares like the APA, I think it obviously helped in bringing the transfer pricing disputes dramatically. But I think having them more time bound, that's very critical. I have seen cases in black money when you have FAIU notices where it could eventually lead to prosecution under the Black Money Act. You have thousands of taxpayers lying in the lurch who do not know whether their submissions, their investigation have been closed or not. I think,
Amit, I'm on a very short deadline, so I'll come for a closing remark from Mr. Akhilesh Ranjan. Since he has been a taxman, probably he could give a closing remark as to what can be expected from the upcoming budget.
Right. So as far as direct tax concerned, as I said earlier, I think the minister has already been talking about simplification. Minister has been talking about predictability and stability. I think the government is on that path already, but it's just that some further actions have to be taken. So we have now rewritten the law. I think what is required is a simplification of the system as such, as is what I was saying. And most importantly, for building trust, Amit just mentioned about some measures like accountability. I'm all for that. I think that is something that the government should look at. We have a citizens' charter. It's there in the statute, but there is no way of enforcing that. There has to be some way in which accountability can be introduced by making that charter more effective. If we can build that trust with the taxpayer and show the willingness of the government to come forward, I think a lot of compliance improvement can be seen, and that's what the government really needs now. With a very moderate tax structure.
So definitely the ask is for further simplification, equal treatments where entities are equal, and yes, most importantly, if more cuts can be given, then it should be for the middle class. And with that, it's a wrap on this special broadcast. Thank you for watching and stay tuned. More is being lined up on the other side.